So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. Um, and so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
The Tower. Final game. At this point, I'm becoming worried for Coda. I have this feeling in the back of my mind that maybe what was right for Davey wasn't right for Coda. Surely him just going away, sending one game back. I don't know. Feels foreboding.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
And the music and the sound effects don't really help.
This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press the use key on the gamepad, and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
That's really not... He's not lying, that is very uncomfortable. Flashing red, the disturbing sound. See, this is what I was talking about earlier, and what Davey was talking about earlier. Making games playable and accessible, to which Coda responded with like 100 games of quote-unquote playable games. But to me, I think that's important. I think something playable and accessible is necessary in games, because otherwise it's this debate again. What's a game? What's a real game? It's more common now than ever because of the series of games recently that people seem to lump into this group of not games. Walking simulators, you probably heard. Dear Esther, Stanley Parable to a degree, Firewatch, Gone Home. The type of basically games that are just explore a story and you really don't get to do anything. I mean, this is an obvious example. But even in those games before, you have done something. Even if it has only been exploring a story or experiencing something. Though it hasn't been leveling up, practicing your aim shooting, and defeating bosses. But this unplayable maze, punishing, awful, that's not a game. This isn't a game. Let's walk over here instead. Visible maze, but no. At a certain point in this discussion, you have to find a common...
It's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
These games are uncomfortable to play. Say most all of these games have, at least towards the end, felt so disturbing. Be it the prisons and stuff. Hell, even the game that was meant to give some peace, the house cleaning ones, was like sort of in this like Stepford Cuckoo system of just keep doing normal things and it'll all be good. We will solve problems. There's a lot of it lies with the music. Music is...
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
I'm sure if this was an actual game and it came out, people would seek all kinds of meaning in these numbers. But really, it just seems to be 15, 16, 17. Numerology is just such a weird thing in general, because if you don't have the actual meaning to whatever you want to have, people will find so many things. Oh, it might be a reference to this, might be a reference to this. The human mind always seeks to create patterns, you know? It's one of the things the human mind does, one of the only things the human mind does better than computers is like pattern recognition. Because the brain is hardwired to seeking patterns in chaos. So a number can't just be random. People always want to find something with random. Hell, even I saw the number right now and I immediately assumed it was like a sequential increase of counting. 15, 16, 17. This could as very well have been 151, 617. My brain immediately jumps to like, it's 3 sets of numbers. Or 3 numbers right after another. It could be 1 number. Or, you know, 2. And the 2 numbers could be, you know, 1516 and the other one could be 17. But in my mind, I immediately jump to 15, 16, 17 because I see the pattern of going like a counting upwards. That's how the human brain works. And I don't want to go over and over about this because it's kind of a sidestep to what was actually happening, but I just find it interesting, right? Because as soon as I recognized 15, 16, 17, my brain was like, ah, well done. You caught it. You caught the numbers it was supposed to be. And maybe that is something similar to the problems that humans and brains want to fix. The house cleaning and all that. You find a quote-unquote puzzle or a problem, and you solve it, and you feel good.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
It's like we talked about, fixing a problem. And how that is what makes people feel good. Davey went on about this earlier. How he saw Coda making games that he thought was a problem. And so he wanted to fix the problem.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
And he wanted to fix the problems. He's going into this now more in detail. And you understand it, right? It's not just me saying this. Fixing a problem feels good. Everyone understands this. And if we want to go into deeper meanings about this, the idea of if you have a friend or someone you know, and they're having an issue, you want to fix it. Because that's what problems are for, right? You fix the problem, and then everything is great. Some things can't be fixed. Or maybe even a more of a depressing thought. Defeatist thought. Some things can't be fixed by you. Sometimes you are powerless.
I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time. And as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them...
I'm sure many of us have been faced with that at some point or another. And it's something I find is also extra interesting in regards to, I suppose, how to phrase it. Like a person that you think you know. It doesn't even have to be someone you know close, but someone that you think you know a lot about, and because of that, in your mind you have more or less a completed picture of what this person is like. And you're happy with that. You think you've got it under control and then you know who this person is, but then you never do. Everyone hides so much of themselves. You only see what they want you to see. Even Coda, what he's shown to Davey has been these games, and he knew what he put into these games. Davey looks at the games and makes a picture in his mind, and he thinks he knows Coda, but he only knows what Coda has shown him. Clearly there was more to him, or not necessarily more. I mean, there's always more, but there were different things to him that Davey didn't see.
I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
Do you think he didn't say anything because he didn't want to? Because he couldn't. Sometimes you have thoughts in your mind that you can't or won't explain in a way that will help. Maybe it was just something he liked. Maybe there was nothing to the 3 dots. Maybe he just put them in because he liked what it looked like. Maybe he thought this was an interesting, like a calling card thing or something. Or maybe there is a deep meaning to it and he just feels like that's not something I can share.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up? I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself. And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean? I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself. That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.